Okay, I'm gonna make this quick because I don't have any reason to drag this out. I don't usually get political. I've got a few friends who know my beliefs, and that's about it. Not so much because I'm over the top or whatever. It's just I don't get into it a whole lot. But I'm really not that extreme one way or another. So we're gonna touch on the Roe v. Wade thing because I think everybody who's having a fit about it is missing something, is missing a detail. Here's the deal. And I wrote about this on Patreon, WordPress, Tumblr, or whatever. You can go to my link in my bio and read it there if you want. But I'm going from memory from what I said yesterday when I posted it. And the thing is, you've got this group at the top, who is telling you how to live, blah, blah. And I'm not necessarily ultra progressive or ultra right or ultra anything. I'm just, my point of view, well, we'll get to that. But you've got this group that calls themselves being at the top, who are telling you how you're going to live. And in particular, some things don't change here. And in particular, you've got a group of old men telling young women what they're going to be doing between their own legs. And it's been that way a while. I'll narrow it down for you. It's been that way since monotheism got pushed. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. It got pushed, and it got pushed real hard. And ever since then, ever since there was one deity with one pretty much gender, everybody else, just kind of fell by the wayside. And I think we know who I'm talking about: women. So, and I'm no feminazi. Don't get it twisted. I'm not a staunch third wave nothing. Not at all. But I will say this. When the clowns at the top turn to young women and say, okay, well, you're going to do blah, blah between your legs, and that's going to be it, and anything else is out of order. Well, what that does is, let's look at history where that has happened in other situations. Let's take booze, for example. That's my favorite thing. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about booze today. What happened when the 1900s women were like, all right, we can't stand our husbands coming home hitting us anymore when they're drunk. How are we going to stop this? They won't listen to us. We're going to outlaw booze one damn way or another. Y'all are going to outlaw it because we can't take it anymore. Rightly so. Now, so it got outlawed. So now everybody has heard about the 1920s speakeasies, where you just about had to go under fucking ground to drink. And you did. People were drinking in basements and cellars and shit like that. Literally down the steps, underground, under buildings. Whole basements turned into fucking bars. So, look at what happened. The government said, oh, you're not allowed to do this. God damn it. And everybody, you've got your people on the surface that are like, will do whatever they're told. And they're just going, okay, I guess you can't drink no more. And then you've got assholes like me who aren't going to listen because we're earth signs. You got, assholes like me who aren't going to listen. And they're just going to say, well, damn it, I'm going to live. I'm going to live one way or another. And I'm going to do it my way, whether you know about it or not. And you've got all these independent people who don't need to be told what to do and who don't need to be micromanaged. And they're going to turn around and figure out how to do it any damn way. Whether you sit there and stamp your feet about it or not. So it's not going to matter. And what I'm getting at is, when the government says, well, you're not allowed to ... Look at how many things they've done that with here lately. like in the past generation or so. And people said, oh, well, and they turned around and goddamn did it anyway, just without anybody's knowledge. You know, there's all kinds of shit. People share Netflix accounts and all kinds of shit. You can't do that. Well, I bet the fuck I can. And they do. It's just shit like that. You can't blah blah. You can't blah blah. Well, so there's always going to be that group that just kind of chuckles and then turns around and does it anyway. Those people will always be there. Like I say, assholes like me who don't let themselves be micromanaged and pushed around because they don't need it. They don't need to be told what to do. I'm still going to live and do all my responsibilities and take care of my children and my family and do everything I'm supposed to do. So when it comes to something I want, after everything else I've done for everybody, I'm going to have my booze, speakeasy or otherwise. End of. Simple as. So now, with the abortion thing, you've got all these women out there, and not just young women. I shouldn't have said that. I should have been. There's all age groups out there protesting. I have seen pictures of that. I'm not oblivious. I know what's going on. But, you know, old men are always thinking about young women, so that's why I said that. But, because they know they can't control the older ones. So, you've got all these women out there with the signs, with the picket signs talking about, you know, you're not going to tell me, blah, blah. Girl, listen. I don't care what it's about. Abortion, alcohol, or something else. It's not going to matter. Look, if there's something you really want to do, and you're that damn independent, and you're not going to be bossed around, and you're not going to be controlled, and you're not going to be, blah, 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 then shut up and turn around and do what you're going to do. I'm not telling you to, I'm not trying to, you know, start a riot or anything. I'm not trying to, like, start trouble. But what I'm saying is, these guys at the top who are starting to tell you what you can and can't do down to your crotch, all they're doing to women, they're actually doing it for them. This is working in your favor. Is that they're making you turn around and go back to the old ways, as it were. And what I'm getting at is plant remedies. Hear me out. When I say that my beliefs are old-fashioned, and I said this in the post I wrote in the blog entry, my beliefs are old-fashioned like several thousand years ago old-fashioned. And not being monotheist, I'm Norse pagan, but not being monotheist, I am not bound by the same rules and regs that system is, and I don't have the same problems they have, and I don't have to be guilt tripped into anything or out of something, and I don't have to be threatened with eternal, you know, tar and pitch and hellfire and sulfur to do the right thing and things like that. I don't have those issues. And because of that, I'm not afraid of repercussions as much. So my mindset is, I think the way people did 3,000 years ago, and I think it's okay to use plant medicine for things instead of letting some group at the top, a group of people who are comprised of individuals who make enough money to feed like several families, and yet at the same time those people don't give a damn, don't give a goddamn if our motherfucking asses live or die, because they don't. I don't care who they are. I don't care what color they are, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't give a fuck who they are, but the people at the top don't care if we live or die. So when they pop up and say, well, you can't, blah, 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 the system that I'm using in my mind, which is like a more tribal system, and I'm more interested in living by an honor code that comes from that what my ancestors laid out for me, not what these clowns are doing that they've been designing since the 50s. That doesn't mean anything to me. The system I'm using in my mind tells me it's okay to make decisions on my own like that, for my own well-being, in a case like that, especially. And I just think that, considering some of the shit some of these women go through, because we can't catch a break, you know, they get raped by relatives or strangers. They are pregnant with a baby that is in the process of dying as they speak, or they're pregnant with a baby that might still be alive for right now, but only has like one chamber in his heart, has a brain that's not going to grow any bigger than a walnut, and can't see and can't hear, and is never going to live a good life, and is just going to live to be in pain in ways that you never want anybody to suffer. I think that when it's a case like that, and there are others that I haven't mentioned, but when it's a bad situation like that, I'm going to be real with you. I think it's okay to send it back to God. I think it's okay, because it's bad. Especially if the child is like what I described medically. Now, let's say you're raped or whatever, and you don't want to get rid of it. And obviously, of course, you don't have to. But you don't want to get rid of it, but you don't want to keep it. Everybody knows what the other option is. Adoption. So do that. Do that. If you don't want to do abortion, then don't. If you know you can't keep the child and you can't give him a good life because you're not in the right situation, and you're in a bad situation, or you can't get any help, and you know that child is going to live a bad life that they don't deserve, let's put it plainly, it's okay to give that child to somebody that will worship him. It's okay to do that. I've known people that did. It's okay. You can have another one later. And even if you don't, you can adopt. You know, I mean, just because you give away one does not mean that's the end for children for you. So, I'm just thinking, you know, what these guys are doing with the abortion stuff is that I've digressed. I've gotten off on different topics. I apologize. But what I'm trying to get at is that when they are at the top stamping their feet, talking about, well, you're not going to be allowed to do this, that's going to force people, and not just with abortion, but with other stuff, pain medicine, etc. This is going to push people, men and women, but mostly women, because they do stuff out of desperation. Because they're afraid, or / they know nobody's going to help them. And they start getting desperate, and they do crazy stuff like learning plant medicine. So all these guys are doing is pushing you, ladies, especially you, back into your ancestral powers and strengths, one of which being learning your plants. That's all that is. Just relax. What I'm trying to tell you is to stop freaking out about somebody on TV, about some old guy on TV whose name you've never heard before, telling you what you're going to do between your legs. His opinion doesn't matter. His opinion doesn't matter. If you really want to do something and you don't want to get caught up or whatever, you don't want to be controlled by it, I mean, then I guess, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is there's other ways around it. I know that leads to more complications, like if it goes wrong, then you got to go to the doctor and shit. But I mean, what they're doing is, that part wouldn't be able to get into because each case is going to be different. But what I'm trying to tell you is that they're pushing women to go back to plant medicine without even realizing that that's what they're doing. So all they're doing is pushing you to go back to what you ought to know anyway. And that's going to make you more independent one way or another, whether it's abortion or something else. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter what it is. They're just making you go back to what you should have already known, really, which is going to make you more powerful because you're going to be more knowledgeable and you're going to be more independent, regardless of the situation. And you're not going to need any damn doctor. And you sure as hell not going to need any insurance. You know, I mean, our ancestors thousands of years ago had injuries and lived, and they didn't have fucking Blue Cross Blue fucking Shield, but they had people that knew what they were doing, who could sew them up, kill the germs, and you know, and call it a day. And that's it. So, like I say, I'm not trying to incite a riot, you know, but I am telling you to quit letting them piss you off and make you angry, and quit letting them make you think that just because they say something means that that's the end for you, because it's not. Look at all the parents who are doing the CBD stuff for their kids, for the seizures and stuff like that. And some states won't allow that. And those parents either do it under the table, they do it, you know, in private, where the state, you know, nobody knows, because they'd rather save their kid's life, or, you know, whatever, they move to another state where it is allowed, if they can manage it. And that's fine. That's just what I think. I know that this leads to other issues. You know, like I say, if you were to do the abortion thing at home, yes, it could go wrong. And forget the legal trouble, you know, the medical issues, if it did. But my best advice for that, and I'd have to cut it off at this, my best advice for that would be to have some people there that know what they're really doing. You know, obviously with dosage and shit like that. But if you're willing to do that, that's on you. I mean, I can't tell you one way or another, but that's my opinion, is that these guys are only pushing us because everybody's saying, oh my God, you know, we're going backwards. You know, we can't do this. We got to go forwards. Well, going forwards, you know, that's different things to different people. That means different things depending on who you ask. So progress is only, you know, you can't narrow that down. And you can't necessarily define it, because everybody's going to tell you something different about what progress is. But I can tell you right now, going backwards, everybody knows what that means. So, but don't let that make you think you're all of a sudden powerless, because women an awful long time ago, before, like I say, monotheism took its stranglehold on us, before all that, when women were still, you know, valuable as human beings, they had a lot of say-so, and they were allowed to have knowledge about nature, and they were allowed to do things and help people, and they knew their damn plants. And there's ways to get around shit. And especially after the church, you know, got up and running, women who knew their plants were saving women who had female problems, with or without pregnancy, or had a pregnancy due to being raped or getting drunk or whatever, and it saved their asses so they could still live a good life. And I mean, that's just things that went on. That's just shit that went on. And those plant medicine women had to really, you know, live underground, figuratively speaking, because what they did was so off limits, because they were helping women get through life when there was a screw up or something that went wrong. And considering that, thanks to that system that they were under, all of their power and identity was pretty much stripped of them, and that they were pushed to the point where all they had left was manipulation and secrets in order to survive. I don't see how that's necessarily a bad thing at this point, because, you know, in a lot of ways, we're still kind of living that way. Not every last one of us, but a lot of us are living that way, where we still have to keep shit under wraps, or we have to be a certain way or act a certain way in order to get, you know, basic needs met. A lot of women live in fear and do things like that still, and we're used to that. That's our only power we've got left in a lot of ways. You know, every woman can't go to law school and own a beach house and shit like that. Everybody doesn't make it to that. So you can't say, you know, women have it good now, blah, blah. No one has it good now. Every group on this planet has something going against them one way or another, no matter who it is. Nobody has everything handed to them and has it good and shouldn't be complaining. There's no group on the planet that's in that category. I can't get into that. I'll be doing this all day. But I'm just trying to tell you that the government telling you what you can and can't do is not going to make it. That doesn't mean people are going to quit doing it. Drugs are legal. People still do drugs. Kidnapping is legal. People still kidnap kids. Screwing somebody under 18 is still legal. People are still doing that. You know, it doesn't make it stop. It just makes it go underground. And that being the case, you know, I don't see how this is going to be any different. And it's going to force women to go back to the old ways and start learning plant medicine, because once again, as they have their power taken from them one layer at a time, it's going to push them and push them and push them right back into the corner that they just got out of. And it's going to force them to become more independent and more secretive and more quiet and more knowledgeable and more sneaky and more manipulative. So so you're right, we are going backwards. That's true. If this thing goes the way they want it to go, yeah, we'll be going backwards. Because that's what women are going to have to do, is just go under fucking ground with all that they've got left. But that's going to make them learn their plant medicine, which will actually make them a lot more powerful. In turn, by proxy, it's going to make them more powerful than these clowns in white coats with the little notebooks, with the little notepads, because they're bound by rules and regs that somebody who knows plant medicine and is doing stuff in their backyard isn't going to be bound by, especially if nobody fucking knows about it. And I'm just telling you, that's not going to come to an end just because government, you know, puts their foot down. They can say such and such is illegal all they want. That's not going to stop people. That's not going to stop people. I mean, look at it for what it is, you know. When you see a situation like that, really think about it from all angles, and you'll see that there's probably a fucking way that it's going to turn around and work in your favor one way or another. And I just think, for the abortion thing, for anybody who's ever been curious about learning plant medicine, now is your time to shine. Because you're probably going to have somebody coming to you talking about, you know, I was raped or whatever, or I was at this party and blah, blah, blah. I'm screwed. Can you help me? And you mix up pennyroyal tea or whatever. And I've never used that, but I mean, that's one of the things. People talk about parsley. Parsley, I don't know how much parsley you'd have to drink. Parsley water you would have to drink. But I know pennyroyal is said to be far stronger. But like I say, I have never used that on myself. So I can't tell you from experience because I don't know. But that's what I've heard. But you've got to do your own research on that. Don't tell the police that Miranda Wyatt, life coach, told you to have an abortion. Don't do that. Because I'm not telling you that, and I'm sure as fuck not going to get involved in that. This is just what I think is going to happen. This is just what I think is going to happen, because women get pushed into a corner And individual men will do this shit to us too. Our boyfriends and our husbands will do this. They'll push us into a corner and then wonder why we start acting crazy. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's just one-on-one instead of a big ass group. Why are you surprised? And I don't hate men. It's not that. You know, I'm past that. I'm past hating y'all. That's not it. But I'm telling you, you know, as you keep trying to, as your main concern is our crotch, as that continues, you know, it's just going to backfire more and more on you because you're not thinking. And that's the best I can tell you. That is the best I can tell you. So that's just something to think about. It's just something that was on my mind. And I just think that as the government, you know, pops up talking about you can't do this, can't do that, all that's going to do is push people to go underground and start learning things that their ancestors knew. And they're just going to go that route. And yeah, that has its risks. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't. But that's what I foresee. So, I mean, that's it. That's it. And that's all I'm going to say about that topic. But that's just what I see for the future. That's my guess. So, whatever you do, please be safe. Please be careful. And whatever you do about anything with plant medicine, no matter what it's about, please do your research and consult with people. I'd say at least 3 different people who don't know each other, who know plant medicine and can answer your questions thoroughly and educate you very fucking thoroughly before you do something. Better yet, have one of them there with you when you do whatever it is you think you're going to be doing, abortion or otherwise. And just be careful. That's all I can tell you, is just be careful. So that's all I wanted to say about that. But thank you for listening and hearing me out. And stay safe, and good luck to you.